Stephen Blaine, your host with Wytlabs, an e-commerce marketing agency. Today's guest is Andrew. Andrew, feel free to introduce yourself and let our viewers know about yourself and your background.
Hi, my name is Andrew Solis. I'm the founder of Cut Above Zero Proof Spirits. We're based out of Houston, Texas. We're in the middle of our second year of sales, so a startup in all senses of the word, but we've had great growth, and I'm excited to be here with you, Stephen.
Awesome. Well, tell me what inspired you to create the brand?
Yeah, so Cut Above, which is a line of non-alcoholic spirits meant to allow consumers to enjoy a cocktail whether they want low or no alcohol. The inspiration really is my story, and that was at the beginning of the pandemic. I personally wanted to drink a little bit less and didn't really know how I was gonna do that. Love a good cocktail, love going out to bars and restaurants. And so I tried some products that were on the market, these non-alcoholic spirits, and they really didn't for me deliver the quality of cocktail that I was used to. And so I set out on a mission to go as far as we could and really push the envelope to bring in a natural way the flavors and the sensations and the aromas that we find in traditional spirits, just without the alcohol. But I say more importantly, wrap it in a brand that spoke to me, which was someone who is an anti-alcohol, believes for the most part we know what's best for us in any given moment, and allowed us to create both low alcohol cocktails when we wanted that, or completely alcohol-free cocktails. So that brand is about, Cut Above is about inclusivity and just giving everyone the choice to have a high-quality cocktail whenever the need calls for.
Definitely, that is the trend in the last few years is the low to no alcohol.
That's right, for sure.
Who is your ideal target audience that you found in the past 2 years?
Yeah, so our target audience is really broad. We see two cohorts. One is a younger generation, so those in their mid-20s to early 30s just are not consuming alcohol in quantities compared to previous generations. Motivators there are right overall health. You have cannabis, which is more readily available and acceptable, and are really having to understand what does it look like for me to go out and have an option that makes me feel included, that makes me feel thought about. So they are right consuming non-alcoholic, both across spirits, wine, and beer in general. And then the second group that we see skews towards the older end. So those in their late 40s going all the way into their 60s. The drivers we see there are mainly our quality of life. Sometimes maybe the doctor said I need to cut back a little bit, and longevity of life as well. And for them, they grew up right in cocktail culture, so they understand what an old fashioned is. They understand what a gin and tonic is. But for them, they want to have that cocktail just with the option to have it no or low alcohol whenever they choose.
Awesome. Well, now there's a lot of zero alcohol, low alcohol brands out there now. What makes you different or better than your competitors?
Yeah, great question. The difference I say that Cut Above brings to the consumer, one is I started as a consumer first. And so being able to understand what I liked about products that were on the market and what I didn't like. So things like viscosity, things like concentration of those natural flavors so that it holds up in a cocktail after you shake it, after the ice starts to melt. That experience, right, of enjoying a cocktail is there. So we paid attention to those things. The other thing is really about our brand. I'm a big believer that in order for the non-alcoholic sector to be as big as it can be, and as myself and other founders want it to be, we have to be able to talk to the consumer who still consumes alcohol, right? Myself included, I still drink alcohol. And so that inclusivity part of it, it was built into the brand so much. So the Cut part of our brand refers to what we call a cut cocktail. And so Andrew was notorious for having a gin and tonic when he was making dinner. So now instead of 2 ounces of my preferred traditional gin, I do 1 ounce and I bring in Cut Above's gin for that other ounce. Right? So the cocktail stays balanced, but I'm reducing the amount of alcohol that I'm having. And so messaging to the consumers saying you're important, we see you, we're here for you as well, is something that really sets us apart from a brand perspective.
Awesome. What is your best-selling products?
Our best-selling is whiskey. It's
Okay.
been the bestseller ever since we launched it. It was the last one we launched in the third quarter of last year. And then 2 and 3 is usually alternating between our mezcal, which is very, very popular, and our gin.
Great. So being now around for 2 years now, what are some challenges that you faced and how were you able to overcome them?
I think in going into year 2, one of the challenges is communicating effectively to those consumers that I mentioned, really making sure that we can have them envision where Cut Above fits into their life, that consumption experience. So maybe it's you have an important event on a Friday night, but Saturday you have to wake up early to go to your kids' sports team game. Maybe it's you want to throw a thoughtful baby shower with really sophisticated cocktails. Right? Some of them have to be non-alcoholic. So finding a way to place Cut Above in those situations in the consumer's mind is something we're really working to refine and bring to the brand this year. The second thing I would say would be operating at scale. Right. So in our second year, we've seen demand increase quarter over quarter, growth quarter over quarter, and being able to hold more raw materials on hand, hold more finished product to be able to feed the growth that we see both here in the U.S. and as we grow outside of the U.S. as well.
Definitely. What is your future plan for yourself and the brand?
Yeah, it's staying on this continuum. So we want to focus on the 4 products we have on the market right now. And you can make thousands of cocktails with tequila, gin, mezcal, and whiskey. And so we want to bring those beverages to the consumers where they're at. So we participate in things like brand festivals, consumer festivals, allowing consumers to taste, talking to them about the product. There is still a lot of education that needs to occur. We get the question a lot, how do I use it? What should I expect when I taste it? So continuing to meet consumers where they're at is a big focus for us this year, as well as continuing to drive that leadership of thought around being inclusive, around making sure everyone feels welcome and thought about, whether they're going out to a bar or restaurant to celebrate something, or whether they're hosting something at home, or just making a cocktail for themselves. So focusing on those really are marketing things is a big focus for us this year.
That's great. So where can we get Cut Above? Are you in stores? Is it mostly drinkcutabove.com?
Yeah, so I would say first available nationwide via drinkcutabove.com. We committed to free shipping out of the gate, and we're sticking with that. So anywhere you order it, usually 3 days later, UPS is going to show up with that order. Secondly, we're distributed across 12 states, and those distributors help us get into retail locations. Those are your small grocery stores, your chains, your boutique shops. So depending on where you're at, what state you're in, you can find Cut Above in a local retailer. Nationwide, our largest retailer is Home Goods. Right, so they have over 800 stores across the U.S. So you can find us in Home Goods, as they took a really brave and successful step to bringing in products for those that are health conscious.
That's great. I wouldn't expect that. That's awesome, though.
It was something we gained in our first year. I'm very thankful that we gained that because the scale of that chain and the amount of consumers that we were able to reach in our first year because of that account has been huge for us.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of going to Home Goods and activities that promote your brand, what has been some successful marketing activities you've done to promote the brand?
Yeah, I think the thing we constantly talk about here, and I use the royal we, we're a small business in all senses, is really sharing our story. I think in our first year, one of the things we probably overextended on when we marketed was talking about the product, right? And we believe in our product, and we believe it's one of the best on the market. But we didn't really talk about Andrew, or the story of that origin during COVID. There's a component of our story that was me at the dinner table with my kids. My oldest son started to ask more about what I did professionally, and I just kind of dodged a question. I didn't have an answer that really showed I enjoyed what I did, and so that was a motivator that occurred at that same time. I was looking to consume less. So the story of a father trying to be a better example for his kids, showing them what it looks like to take a risk on yourself, trying to make the world a better place in a specific way. So sharing that, we found great success focusing on that storytelling component of marketing. So we'll continue to do that. That means, Andrew, myself, I'm out, whether it's a trade festival, offering samples. We were just in New York at the Wall Street Journal Future of Everything Fest. So talking about how the future of imbibing looks inclusive and the importance of having non-alcoholic options, and really educating what we term on-premise, your bars and restaurants, that non-alcoholic options, in particular cocktails, they don't take away from alcohol sales. What they do is they add on this incremental revenue that the businesses wouldn't have seen otherwise. And so when we see our businesses bring us on board and they begin to see that revenue flow in, the light bulb really turns on. So figuring out a way to spread that message, both as we go to individual accounts, but then in mass. So that's really what we're focused on is helping those businesses be the places that are known for offering great cocktail and a great non-alcoholic cocktail.
100%. I've seen bars and restaurants have like Heineken Zero on draft now. So it's changed. It's changed a lot. It's great.
It has. It has. That's definitely right. And I would say it's when I talk to people who don't consume alcohol, we call it inclusive hospitality. They say, it's. I felt like when I was going out with friends and I'm the only one not consuming, it was soda with a splash of cranberry or a really heavy juice concoction, and everyone else was well thought out, premeditated cocktail with exotic ingredients, and so it was that always less than, and it wasn't necessarily normalized, right? That person or persons who weren't consuming alcohol, and so really that's part of our vision is kind of normalizing that. So when that person goes in, that it's an expectation. I'm going to have a really sophisticated cocktail like everyone else. It's just not going to have the alcohol in it. And then let's get past that and talk about whatever we're else here to talk about.
100%. What advice can you give entrepreneurs looking to start an e-commerce brand in 2024?
A great question. There's a lot of advice I'd probably love to go back and give myself. I would say the biggest one that comes to top of mind really is making sure that you understand the uniqueness of what you're bringing and who your consumer is. So we see the shift right now in the non-alcoholic space where I think this year a lot of brands are going to start to get weeded out. So it's no longer sufficient to have the fact that you're a non-alcoholic. Well, there's so many now that's not novel, right, anymore. It's losing its novelty, let me say it that way. So is it more about your natural ingredients? Is it about the way you make it? Is it the brand story? So being really succinct on what makes you as a brand unique in the space. And then to your question you asked earlier, who am I talking to? Who am I thinking is going to experience this? And knowing the answer to the question, why? Why would they want this? And I think being honed in on those early helps a lot of the decisions you're eventually going to make, where to spend marketing dollars, type of products to allocate, where you want to base your operations. All those things are really informed by those two, I believe.
Awesome. Andrew, is there anything I haven't asked you that you want our listeners and viewers to know about Cut Above?
The thing I would love to know is, or would love to share, let me say it that way, is that the non-alcoholic space, in my view and Cut Above's view, is built for everyone. We welcome anyone to reach out to us. My personal email address is andrew@drinkcutabove.com. I welcome conversations, inquiries about the space. I'm always happy to educate, to support people who are out there bringing these options and leading the charge to have these options available wherever they're at. And give us a try. I'd say to your listeners, we always have promotions going on our websites. Feel free to try it. And then again, open line of communication to me is always there.
Awesome, Andrew. Well, I appreciate you coming on the White Pod, and amazing story and amazing journey. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect.